All right, we're going to drop into Nomad Sculpt today. I'm going to show you how to use the tube tool of all things to hard surface sculpt. It's going to be in conjunction with the transform tool and the Gizmo tool. So 3 simple tools makes it really easy to do a really interesting hard surface sculpt. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start with a new file. So I have the default sphere in here. I'm also going to add a box in here just real quick. We're not going to use this really, but I want to show you how to adjust the scene a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. You'll see automatically I have some post-processing going on, so I'll show you how to get this set up. So if we unselect this, now you can see I've got a white line, I've got the shadow in here. So come up to this menu right here, the quality menu. And down at the very bottom, we've got dithering on. If you don't necessarily need this, this just helps with banding. Now, curvature and ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion is the shadow strength, so you can see the shadows in the background. I keep that just a little bit down there. Now the size, how big it's going to be, and the curvature bias, you know, how much it biases on the curve of a round object. You can also change the color if you like. I usually just leave it black. Come down to curvature. Now this is the actual difference between the two surfaces. So if we zoom in here, you'll see you've got the back, so the cavity. So you can make this stronger or weaker depending on what you're going to be sculpting on. And then the bump is the exterior surface of your lines. You can also change these if you want, make it a little bit easier to see. And then the thickness, if you want them a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner, adjust both of them. All right, that makes it a little bit easier to see. The other thing you can do that helps us a little bit is go into the shading menu. I usually do this in matte cap. You can also go into lit if you want. Now, if you want to use lit instead, you're going to want to go in probably and increase the strength just a little bit. That's up to you. I usually use matte cap. I just prefer matte cap. So I'm going to drop that back down because it gets a little strong in matte cap. There's one other one that you may really like, and that's especially if you have a lot of objects when you're doing this, you can use Object ID and it will automatically color your objects for you and show you all your different pieces. So kind of up to you. Sometimes this is nice just to click on real quick and check to make sure you have all your pieces where you want them. All right, so let's go back into matte cap and I'll change this to where maybe it's a little bit easier to see. Yeah, let's try that one, see how that looks. I think that'll be good. Okay, so let's get rid of this. I don't really want that. We could use that. Well, you know what? I'll leave it just in case so you can kind of see how this works. All right. So the cool thing about this is something kind of stumbled across. I'm sure somebody else has probably already done this already too. But we're going to use the tube tool, the transform tool, and the gizmo all in conjunction with each other. The main tool we're going to use is the tube. Now, we're not going to use the tube over here. We're going to come up here into the menu and add it from here, which is a little bit easier, simply because if we use a tube tool here, it's going to be kind of off in space. And it's not like we can't put it on here. But if you're wanting to align objects and everything, that's more what we want to do. So come up here, we're going to select an object and we've already got the quad sphere. This one is already selected with a gizmo. Whoops. So I'll go back up to the Gizmo tool. All right. So what we're going to do is add a tube to this. Now, I have this clicked. If you don't have this clicked, it's going to always bring the tool to the world center. All right. If you have this and it's out in space somewhere, so let's put the grid on so we can see what's going on. And I'm going to drag this off over here. Let's increase the size a little bit. Let's go a little bit bigger. Okay, so you can see this is off in space. It's not in the world origin anymore. And I'm sure you guys already know, but if you come up to, if you're in the Gizmo tool and you come up to the gizmo at the top, you can come down and move to origin and it'll put it back. So you can always align stuff that way if you want. But if we have this off to the side and I want to put a tube tool and a hard surface over here out away, the cool thing about this is when we go to add, if you click on Gizmo, if your gizmo is in the center. And once again, that's another tip if you guys don't know. Say this pivot is off in space somewhere like this. When we go to add this with this technique on Gizmo, add the tube tool, now it's off over where the gizmo is. So let's click back and fix this. So we'll come over to Gizmo. All right, so click on pivot and you should be able to do either center or object. Either one of these two should get you there. You can also hit a line if it's twisted. That'll all fix everything. Click off a pivot again and you're in the center. All right, so that's just so we kind of know how to get everything aligned and get these parts where you want them. Come in, click add, and we're going to add the tube this time. Now it's in the center of the object we want to add a hard surface to. Click on the gizmo to bring it up. Now this is one way you can do it. The other way you can bring it to the surface is click on transform, click on the arrow, and it'll instantly start snapping it to a surface for you. Now that is all controlled by the snap up here in the top bar. Push and hold, long press. You get surface and vertex. You can adjust the offset, but I think right now it's buggy and there's something going on with the offset. It's not working like it should, but at least right now it's keeping it to where if we do use the gizmo and change this, it's going to automatically keep it to the center of your object, or the center of the surface of the object, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, the other thing I should mention real quick, you'll see I have the outline on my object. If you don't have that and you want it, it's one other thing. It's in this one. And if we go to outline right there. So you can change the thickness if you want and your color. Okay. So now that we have this on, and it's like, okay, that's great. It's a circle, but it's not really the hard surface. I want blocks. I want rounded edges. Okay. So the first thing we can do is come up and hit this top button up here in the bar that says profile. Click on this once, and now we have a square. Okay. It's like, well, that's great. It's still not helping me. I can only use the gizmo on this. Okay. So now if we click on profile, suddenly we have this menu come up, and this is the menu we want. This is one of two menus. Well, this is the one menu and one other option we're going to show you to make beveled hard surfaces. Okay, so this guy right here, you'll see suddenly now I can move that object on the surface any kind of profile I want. The other option is you can do it actually on the surface on the object if that makes it easier. So click up on the tube portion up here in the menu. Now you have the green dots. We'll center this up here. Now I can just affect them here if I want. And you don't just have to do this. This is like any other dot in here. Click on it once, and now you've got a rounded edge. And you can use the B-spline or the Catmull ROM. And that's either going to put the dot directly on the line or your splines, obviously. So either way. Now this is going to, you can see this is pretty blocky. It's not super round. We want to round that off. Obviously, we just need to come up here, click on the three dots of the menu, and bring your division up. And now suddenly your sides are much smooth. You've got a much smoother division on your sides. So it just depends on how you want to work this. Now you don't have to have that menu up. You just click that off. Now we've got it off. And now I can adjust it as I want. You'll notice it's going to slow down a little bit because you have so much in there. I recommend bringing that down. Just it makes it faster. And then when you're ready to actually, round things off, click it, bring that back up. Cool. One of the very cool things about this is, the tube tool and the lathe tool are very similar. The difference is with the lathe tool, once you pull a lathe and you create your shape, you have to validate it. This we don't. We can move on and keep adding hard surfaces to this. So I can bring over another one and click on this guy, the cube, and add another tube. Now I've got another tube in here, and I can use the gizmo and rotate this on the snap over here. Snap this over, bring this out. Now I have another hard surface object. And if we use the transform tool, it's going to snap halfway for us automatically. Use the gizmo, bring this down, whatever thickness we want. And suddenly we have a second thing that we can change the profile and do whatever I want with. Okay. Cool thing is this is, until you validate this, I can come over here and change this as much as I want. So this is super cool. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how to bevel this. Now, the beveling is not perfect, but you could also Boolean several pieces together. So clone the tube, slide it over, and you can make more complicated shapes. So to demonstrate that, let's do that. So the first thing I want to do is show you the beveling. All right, so now that we're in the side view, unfortunately, these dots only work in the face-on view. So if we come snap to the right here and we grab the radius, so this is how we're going to change to a bevel. So click this 3 times so you get the 2 dots on the end, and then you can just click on and add dots. And you can get these to snap if you want, and I'll show you a trick on how to snap this if you want to snap this perfectly in line. Okay. So what we can do is move this guy up. Let's kind of realign this a little bit. Okay, so my camera decided to overheat and shut down on me. So we're just going to keep charging forward here. Okay, so you have your line in the top here, and we've got the kind of the pinkish orange dots, whatever they are down here. Now, to turn this into a bevel, we can just do this. And now we have a nice bevel on here. And this is super cool. So you can see that you have a pretty decent bevel all the way around. Now, what I wanted to warn you about is you can see that it's a little off, right? The one to the right side is a little tighter than the rest. We can fix this to a certain extent, and it's pretty easy to do. So come into Profile. Now you can see that the center of this grid is kind of off center of this object. So come up to here to where the bottom right here, where it has the crosshair, and hit center. Now it's going to center it. Fixes it a little bit. Super cool thing on here is you can move this around. So right now I'm moving the whole thing, which isn't doing what I want it to do. Click down here and grab move. Now I can move this wherever I want. And you'll notice that the bevel is adjusting in real time as I move this around. Now I would recommend just looking at the object on your screen that you're trying to adjust, not the thing over here, because it's too hard to look back and forth and see what's going on. So just kind of get it to where you want and call that good. Okay, so what I want to show you is that if you get this a little too complicated and we start bringing this over, we start having issues with the bevel because it's not going to, whoops, not the one I wanted. It's not going to work right because no matter where we move this, it's just that bevel's not what we want. So the way to fix that, the only way you can really kind of get around that, if you want to add this a little bit, and let's go over here, let's just scale this down just a little bit like this, maybe scoot this over, and say we want to make this a little more complicated shape. Come up here and just clone it, drag it over. Now we can turn this into a little bit different profile and make this the one that's super complicated, and just start adding more complicated shapes, and you can adjust your bevel from there. So if we move this over, move this in, now we can adjust this bevel a little bit. Whoops, I keep hitting the wrong one. Come to Profile, hit center, move this around until we get kind of a more even bevel. Like I said, this isn't perfect, but it's going to get a little bit different, and you may come up with a shape you like. Say you like that. It's got a little nice bevel on the outside. We can move this guy over a little bit, and now you just got two that you can Boolean together when you're done. If you want to smooth this out a little bit more, It just kind of depends on how you want to do this, but we can get this a little bit better if you want by just adding another point in here, and you can round these out a little bit more, whatever you want to do. Really, this one should be more of a round. We want that one to be more round. So you can round this out a little bit if you like. The top surface is a little hard to deal with. It's going to be hard to get that perfectly around. Like I said, this is not a perfect way to do this, but it's pretty decent, and it makes hard surface modeling pretty easy. The cool thing is, like I said, is you have nice booleans that you can work with. All right, so say we want to do a tube on here and you want to do hard surface and a round. Now that's a little bit tougher because I'll show you if we click on this and we go to add another tube. Let's bring it up. Let's go ahead and flip it. Now I wanted you to notice something else here real quick. If we go to this, you notice the tube is aligned face out here and the cube itself is aligned the same way. This tube is always going to come in on the green axis. So let's click that back, get rid of that. Let's click on this. Let's flip this axis so you can see what I mean. So if we come over here to the pivot, we've already got on snap on 90. I'm going to snap it up, click off the pivot. Now if we come in, we add, remember we're on Gizmo, click on tube. Now the tube aligns. So that makes it easier if you want to have this tube come in to your object in a certain alignment. Flip the gizmo until that green arrow is in the direction you want your alignment to be. Okay, so grab this, let's bring this up and grab the transform tool, and we're just going to grab this. Okay, now say I want to give this some kind of a crazy look on the side, so we'll click on the profile, click on this guy, and we need to add some radiuses on here. Click on this, and we're going to just click a few, and you'll see that it's already, this thing is getting kind of crazy. And if that's what you want, that's fine. If you want to keep this in line, there's something else we can add to make this happen, and it will snap and make everything work extremely well. Okay, so we have this in here. We've already got our square, and we don't want that. So let's bring this back to a round because we want to do a round. Okay, so the way to make this snap to a surface is to bring in a plane. And I need to snap onto this guy. So it should be on the round. Click on add a plane. Okay. Why is it over there? Where's the gizmo? It'll be on the gizmo. Oh, that's right. Okay. So don't be on transform. You need to be on the Gizmo tool. That was my bad. Okay. So click on your object, have your Gizmo tool selected, click on add. If you don't have that set, then it'll go off in weird places sometimes. So click on a plane. All right. So the plane always does the surface normals in the green off of the flat surface. So we just have to rotate it. So be in your Gizmo, click on Gizmo, and let's just snap this 90. And I'm going to snap it 90 again because I want to be on the right version. Okay, so let's bring this up and let's stretch this out. And this is going to be super cool. You're going to really like this as far as aligning a tube and a round. Okay, so to make this work, we're clicked on this. So let's click on the surface we want to change up. We're going to click on radius again. Now, the first thing we do is click over here and we're going to start adding, and we're still got issues. It's kind of all over the place, right? So the first thing we can do to fix this is we're going to come up and long hold on the snap and change that to vertex snapping. Okay, so that's a little bit better, but it's still not quite what we want to do. So the next thing we want to do, we don't really need the grid on right now. The wireframe. So if you don't have wireframe on, click on wireframe. And click on, we need to be on the plane. Come up here, and what I'm going to do is down here where it says geometry. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I already have this. Normally this would be clicked on, and you bring a plane in. It's already locked. Okay, depending on your division. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted the topology. Click off the chain on the topology. Click on this and just do one. Click on this and do one, and it'll usually default. Sometimes it won't. Okay, so what we want to do is have one line right there. So we want one single line. You can't see it because the axis is on it right now. And then you're going to bring these divisions up to whatever you want your profile to snap to. So if we come in here and come over, you'll see that we have one line in the center and all these others. So now if we click on this tube, we come to the tube, we can snap. You see it's snapping to every vertex. And it's not going to come off the plane. It's sitting on the plane. Now when I click and snap one, it first, if you don't click right on one, you can drag it off. Sometimes if you click off like there, it'll click off, but then it will snap immediately too. Now the cool thing is that once we have done this, whoops, I did that. I wanted the round profile again. Once we've done this, now I can just click and drag this, click another one on, snap it to a different one, and I can do whatever I want, and it's going to stay in this plane for me. Now say I've got that, but I want to have another one in here in line with all of this. Let's bring one up here. I want to bring this out a little. Okay. Say I want to put another one in, super easy. All we're going to do is come up, add. We're already on the gizmo, click a tube. And since your axis on this one is already in the green facing out, we're already set. And we already have this one ready to go, lined up perfectly in the center. All right. So this can easily go in. We can just come up here and increase the size of this if we need to. Now you'll notice the cool thing, it can be cool or not cool depending on how you want to do this, but you'll notice if you extend this out, your grid is going to go out as well with it. If you need it to stay the same size, you can just click the plane and just duplicate or clone the plane and bring it out and do another one. But you'll notice once we move the plane, the object that you had already sculpted on the plane stays in the orientation. It doesn't change with it. So if you want to change that, you have to go back. So we'll just click this back. So if you want to be able to keep the option of adjusting this at the same, you need to leave that plane with that object and then just clone this one. So the plane's already selected. You could clone the plane, move the plane forward, and change that as a different color, whatever you want to do. So here's one other thing you need to be aware of, and this will make things kind of wonky and weird. Say this plane, you've got two planes and these are the same right now. Let's do something. Let's go change this plane topology up a little bit. All right, so if we do this, you can have an issue if you have two things together. It's hard to explain what this is going to happen. Might be easier over here. So let's grab, yeah, that'll be easier. So let's clone this real quick. This will be the easiest way to explain this. Let's clone this guy. And I'm going to move it in a little bit and kind of just be funky with it over here. I'm going to increase the division a little bit. What that's going to do is it's going to add more vertices behind this one that we're looking at right now. So if we click on this one has less vertices than that one. We're going to click on the profile. So we're in profile. Now this is going to click to all those. It's going to snap. If you come up here and hit vertex and say you're wanting to snap on something, it's going to suddenly start doing weird things and snapping. Well, it's not doing it this time. Usually it will start doing weird things and start snapping around corners and doing some really strange things. And maybe it's only in, I could be wrong. It could be just in this one where you're clicking on these. Yeah. Okay. It's on the round tube. So if you have another object back here and it's in your way, you need to hide all of these other objects out of your way. If they're hidden, it won't affect it. So that's the one way to make this work okay. So hide that, unselect it. So now when we come back here, when I move it, it's not going to be affected by anything. So that's the one thing I want to show you. If you have things you want to adjust this a little bit more and it's being affected in a strange way on a tube shape, the square shapes don't affect, but the tube shapes do. And if you have anything in your way, just hide it out of your way. And then when you turn it back on, it's not going to affect it because you're not effectively moving those vertices again. All right, thanks for watching the video. If you made it all over the end, this will really help you out if you want to hard surface sculpt some things in Nomad and keep it controlled. If you could, just please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. All right, thanks.